So I wasn't out of the closet yet. My sister was having a co-ed sleepover at our house, and my mom had just gone to bed, and all of us decided to go in the jacuzzi together, but it ended up being that us guys went with no clothes on. I don't know exactly how that happened, but I feel like that was pretty standard for our events and hangouts back then. So I'm jumping in the jacuzzi with nothing on. I'm through the roof excited by seeing these other guys with nothing on too. I'm like literally trying to stop myself from growing as I'm getting in this jacuzzi. And Robbie, who him and I had a huge crush on him. We had watched a couple like adult movies together and checked things out, done some exploration, right? Robbie comes and sits right next to me in the jacuzzi. So I'm not thinking that anything is going to happen at this point, right? Like, I'm just thinking, all right, great. Like, I'm going to get to see Robbie and some of our other guy friends with nothing on. Score. And let me tell you, I got quite the view as I was like waiting for the other guys to get in that jacuzzi. I mean, everybody's taking everything off. I'm taking notes of who's packing what. And I'm like at full attention underwater, okay? So Robbie sits down in the jacuzzi next to me, and I could not tell you what anybody was talking about. All I could focus on was the fact that Robbie's thigh was up against mine underwater, and neither of us had anything on. The jets are going, the lights are on in the jacuzzi, but you can't see underwater, right? So nobody could tell that I was like at full attention. I couldn't tell what was happening with the other guys, and everybody's just talking and laughing. And as they're talking and laughing, I keep getting these like bumps up against my leg as Robbie kind of like moves his leg back and forth. He's almost like sliding his leg up against mine, like underwater, in a clearly like purposeful manner, right? So I'm getting a lump in my throat. I am like more excited than I could even begin to explain. And I really didn't know what to do with myself. I'm kind of like taking my hands like up out of the water. I'm putting them down underwater and like bumping them against Robbie's thigh. He's doing the same thing to me. And I'm so like in my head of like, oh my God, like I was so anxious. I literally didn't know how to like compose myself in a normal way. Like, where should I put my hands? Like, should they be underwater? Should they be out on the side, like resting up like this? And I'm wanting to reach over and grab Robbie, but I didn't want to like be obvious or have anybody like see us do that. So I'm just sitting there like anxious, right? Worked up. And before I know it, Robbie reaches over underwater and like puts his hand right on my thigh. And he starts rubbing his hand like up and down my inner thigh as we're sitting there in the water with everybody else. And I start just doing the same thing to him. So he's rubbing me up and down on my thigh, and he's like starting to graze a certain area of me that was getting me really worked up. So I start doing the same thing as him, and I'm, feeling his muscles. I'm like literally trying not to make it obvious that I'm like literally drooling. And then I don't remember who grabbed who first, but one of us grabbed the other, and both of us were at full attention. And Robbie was packing, to say the least. So, I have quite the handful. And we're sitting there again. I have no idea what we're talking about, but we literally just start giving each other quite the nice massage underwater. And this is going on for quite some time. And then I don't know if he came to some sort of conclusion or what, but Robbie lets out this like audible sound, like a moan almost, but not quite, like a sigh, right? That was just like, what was that? Everybody like stops and looks at him, including me. And he kind of looks up like shocked and just kind of like starts laughing. And I start laughing. Everybody else starts laughing. And like he plays it off as if this was just some sound he had made. Nobody asked what it was. I immediately thought everyone was going to know what we were doing, but nobody did. And I'm literally feeling around underwater to like see if I can tell if anything had happened with him. Then I couldn't tell if it did or not. I still don't know to this day if it did. But he stopped grabbing my thigh after that and any other parts of me, right? I was kind of bummed about that. And then he went from like full attention down to like, regular excited level, as in just normal. And I figured that meant he had probably, arrived at the conclusion that I'm talking about. Anyways, we hung out in the jacuzzi for a little bit after that. Nothing else happened that night because we didn't have any other like alone time together, but I was very much hoping that something would happen again in the future, and it may have. So I do have some more Robbie stories. If you want to hear those, let me know in the comments and hit follow.